Hello to all my friends out there. So if you're new to my channel, I dumpster dive this painting. I don't know if it's a real painting or someone bought it, but when the time is right, I will sell it for $3. Somebody must have been moving and left it at the side of the dumpster. I didn't actually dive in, and I thought, yeah, I think it's pretty cute. So I got home, I turn on the air conditioning. This is the first time I can say I've been a little bit cool today. And I hope everyone is doing okay. I'm trying to explore cool places outside of my apartment. And I noticed one thing, like in a lot of places where people dwell, there is no trees, and in parking lots there is no shade. I think they do this on purpose so that people won't be in the parking lots. So try to find outside before it's like this, brutally hot, places you can be that are cool, or conversely warm. Okay, I want to show you guys, I stockpiled a little food today. So what I did is I bought 3 of these. I was at Walmart and I thought, wow, you better just quit splitting hairs and buy these. So I bought 3 classic pork and 3 maple. I like both. Okay, so the bad news is these dollar packages of, in case you think I'm lying, sausage are $1.56. So instead of getting 3 for $3, now you get 2 for $2. So you see how this is inflation. But I haven't been able to find them. You know, a while back I saw some lady and she had her whole grocery cart full of them. Yeah, she's got them in her freezer. So what I usually eat these is eggs and sausage, but you can also you can scramble them, or you can cook them whole with beans, like baked beans. You can make some good baked beans, split pea soup, and then fried rice. How I make that is I fry the sausage, I scramble it, and I usually season it with pepper and red pepper flakes. And then when it's done, I move it to one side and I scramble eggs in the other side. Then I mix it and I add cooked rice, vegetables, salt, pepper, and sugar, and then soy sauce. So one of these could make a big batch of fried rice. So when you don't have that much money, you want to find bulky type foods, like with a lot of rice, with a lot of vegetables, you know. Or if you make like your scrambled eggs with vegetables and meat, that's going to add a lot of bulk to your food. And then if you make sandwiches with 3 pieces of bread, you can get by. Try to find everything as cheap as you can, but sometimes you just can't. So that is the first thing I bought. Then I was walking around and I said, oh, good. Now this is the problem. This is a big problem, and don't think it isn't. Walmart, where I go, hasn't had this for months. You can make your own. So what did I get? Yeah, 10 pounds, and it wasn't that expensive. It was like $2.42. So you figure that's $5. And that is going to make a lot of biscuits. So if you don't have buttermilk, you can use water. You can use margarine. You can make buttermilk by adding lemon to your milk to curdle it. But I had a bad thought. What if we can't find those big bottles of lemon and lime juice? So I'll be looking for that. Well, in fact, I couldn't find the self-rising flour the last time we had the pandemic. You can make your own. So that is going to let you, you can also make this like fry bread, you know, mix up your biscuits, roll them out like pancakes and fry them. And use that for the bread. Okay, then the third thing I bought, and I expect anything that's like made out of beef, like milk, like cheese to go up. So I bought the Walmart brand for $5.88 because that's going to make a lot of macaroni and cheese. At one point, I found this stuff. It's in my refrigerator. I found this stuff marked down, so sometimes you can get it marked down, at which time you would want to stock up. $5.88. Then I bought one of these because this salsa is really, really going to help you out, you know, when you're eating cheap food. But the other thing you can do is you can grind your Rotel tomatoes in the blender, and it's pretty decent salsa. This is probably even cheaper, but this is a good way to stockpile salsa. Okay, so I bought a salsa. Then I bought the caffeine-free. I bought two of them. Caffeine-free Diet Cola. This stuff is really awful, but it's only 75 cents. I mean, that can be as cheap as a small bottle that's supposed to be cold, and it never is. And then I bought two waters. And by my house, I have a place I can refill my water. So I'm trying to figure out if I bought anything else. No, I didn't. And that was a total of $23.72. So you might be saying, well, fine for you, but I don't have any money. So what you're going to do is you're going to find those food banks and food pantries, and you're going to go and you're going to ask them for non-perishable food. If you have to, you're going to tell them you don't have any propane. You're going to do what you have to do. Go follow Disabled and Prepping. She's been prepping with very little money for a year. And now, you might not have like a whole year, but you have half a year to prepare. So, I want to talk to you guys about hardships. Okay, so you're going through this hardship, and it's really not good. It's really bad. And so what happens when you endure hardship is you get strong. That's why you see some people so much stronger than others. Like me, I didn't have a husband. I didn't have a good job. Basically, I pretty much had nothing going for me, but I had the world's best father and the world's best son, so that was a blessing. Now, another interesting feature about hardships and this sort of thing, the Bible talks about the angels are very fascinated by the humans. Like, what are the humans going to do in this situation? And like, I firmly believe that. And so, you know, what you can do is call out to them for help. And they're there to help you, but they're also watching you because they're very, very fascinated to see what you're going to do. And if there's one thing I have learned, children can be very ingenious, and humans can be very, very ingenious. One thing we can do is we can learn from the other guy. I mean, don't discover stuff that is already discovered by another person. So just being aware that the hosts of heaven are very interested to see what we're going to do in these situations. And, you know, we see a lot of heroic events where people rise to the occasions, like firemen, like policemen, like mothers, like, you know. So just bear that in mind, that the angels are very fascinated with the humans. And what are they really fascinated about? Well, they're fascinated to see if we can hold the faith. I mean, we're down here. It has been said that the angels always behold the face of God. So they have, you know, they have faith. It was like the apostle that would not believe until he touched the hands and the piercing of the side. I have an icon of that. It's a good icon. But how about the people who have no verification of the reality of this stuff? That is faith. Okay, now another thing we want to do during hard times is we want to stay the course. That means like we're trying to get through this day without making it any worse, without like being a zipper head, without freaking out. We just want to stay the course. Like, okay, like the military. If they didn't stay the course, a lot of times it would be killed, or they wouldn't get to the troops to help in time. Or like in the infantry, you just had to put one boot in front of the other and get where you were going. You couldn't start crying and freak out in the middle of the war. You have to stay the course. You have to keep your eyes on Jesus. That's how you're going to stay the course. You're not going to look to the circumstances. You're not going to look to all the bad stuff. You're just going to stay the course. You're going to say, okay, I know the host of heaven's here to help me. I'm going to keep my eye on Jesus, and I'm going to get through this somehow. I mean, chances are you could have no idea what's going to happen. Okay. Now, this is something I want to tell you guys. A lot of times you will discuss things at length before you come up with the solution. Okay, this guy I knew, I was trying to help him, and I was talking to him, and I was talking, blah, 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 blah. This wasn't the guy who got the food at the park. This is another guy. And he made some mention of this guy we knew at one point said, because he didn't have anywhere to stay. At one point, someone said he could stay in the shed. I said, well, why don't you just ask him if you can stay in his shed? And he was like so relieved, and he probably was let to. But the point is we talked for 45 minutes before we came to this brilliant idea. So discussing, a lot of people go, I don't want to think about it. It's called brainstorming. You're trying to, tell the person like go to the food bank, or why don't you try and it's like accept, reject. And then you keep there's this thing, you got to talk it out until you find the solution or find the problem. Okay, so now one of the things that might really help is a willingness to move to cheaper areas or safer areas, like small towns. They're usually cheaper. I was looking at this one small town, and the rent was like $450. I go, well, yeah, I would go there if I had to. Tijuana or Tecate, there's cheap rents there. Is it pleasant? No, it's awful. But you can take a bus from both, and, it's a place to sleep. The backcountry here is much cheaper. There are RV parks for $500. That's cheap here. Campgrounds are really, really cheap. Cars are really, really cheap. The beach. I wanted to tell you guys about my friend's husband. She said it was a midlife crisis, but I think he had it in mind to do this for a long time. He moved to Hawaii. She said he was freaking nuts. He moved to Hawaii and he bought himself an old car, like a spacious car. And he lived in his car, and he had 7 cans of food. What were these cans of food? Pork and beans. He found a job, and they let him park in back of his job. And he had 7, everything was 7, like one per day. Okay, if you have pork and beans, that's 50 cents. But if you add Vienna sausage, that's 50 cents. And if you can find marked down bread, you can get by. Actually, you can eat pork and beans on bread. You can eat pork and beans cold. Okay, so he got permission to park in the back of his car, and he would stay with people until they would get totally worn out and kick him out. And he would save all of his money. Now, the guy was not a loser. And so, you know, he stayed at the beach. He took a bath at the beach. I mean, if it was cheap, he did it. And he was able to do that for quite a while. So keep that in mind. Also, possibly you could rent a garage. Out here, like, people are renting, like, garages and spare rooms. My ex-husband, he rented to this guy, and I went over there and I said, oh my gosh, it's like a shanty here, because there's so many people, like, parked. It was on an acre, and they were parked in RVs, and I mean, they're just all over the place. And my husband said, shut up, Ruthie, they're paying the rent. Yes. Okay. When I was going to the food pantry, I ran into this young girl, and she had been living, I think it was in Washington, and things had been going really, really, really bad. And so she came down here without a penny in her pocket, and she was staying on her friend's couch. But she went to this food pantry where they give you a massive amount of food. She knew about it. And so it was food for her and her friend, and partial payment while she was looking for a job for sleeping on the couch. I would suggest, if you are living and sleeping on someone's couch, that the only time you are home is when you are sleeping on that couch. You're going to last longer. So be thinking about that. Be as unintrusive as you possibly can. I mean, don't be in there taking over the TV, yelling at the kids. You know what I mean? And the same thing if you're living in your car. Be outside like what I was doing all day long, and only sleep in your car. And you're going to be able to survive that way. Okay, now, remember the guy who was starving, and finally he went to the park? Where he was living, so he was living free. So all he needed to do was get some food. So, you know, here I am, blah, 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 blah. Okay, reject, accept, reject, and it was all reject until he came up with the park idea. He was sleeping inside the door of a guy's house, not actually in the house, but he was allowed to sleep inside of the door. And if he had gotten food, it would be so much better for both of them. And inside of this door was roaches and fleas. Yes, people live this way every single day, but it's better than be outside. Or if they'll let you sleep on their, outside, if they have a porch, or anywhere on the property, is better than on the street. And figure out how you can make a toilet so that you're not making a mess. Do not make a mess anywhere you are. That is going to let you survive so much better. So, okay, you guys, be thinking about your stockpile. If you don't have any money, go to disabled and prepping. Oh, also, I want to mention this. I think it was this week, Peach McIntyre had a I kept pronouncing it wrong. M-A-C-I-N-T-Y-R-E. Had her mother, a show with her mother, making the best ever macaroni and cheese. So if you learn how to make macaroni and cheese, that's another bulky thing. Spaghetti is another bulky thing. So you're not going hungry. Add bulk to your food. And if you do have to eat out, go buy food or go to places that give you generous amounts of food. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and God bless you all.